Hey guys, Irishman here. This is episode 3 of the UnNamed NASCAR podcast. I will not be redoing this, so this is episode. Yeah, but I just mute my TV, not TV. A little bit of a brain fart there, so. Okay. Get that expanded out. Alright, we are underway. Welcome to the UnNamed NASCAR podcast, the junior version of the NASCAR Weekly podcast. They're still not back yet. My Twitter is blowing up. Related to shut up and either join or say no. Oof. Okay. Well, welcome. So far, it's just me because I posted a link in the Discord. No one joined. And I posted a link in the Carnation Cup Twitter chat. No one has joined. So for now, it'd be just me. Twitter DMs, will you shut up? Time to mute. Mute. There we go. 1 week, I'm muting. I'm kidding. Hello, slow motion. Anyway, we got... Oh, someone's here. Yo, Rusty, what's up?
Not much, man. How's it going?
Go.
Are you playing?
I wish I had a lock on my door.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, welcome to the podcast, Rusty.
Thanks for welcoming me to your podcast. This is my first time I've been on one of these in a while, and feels nice. I mean, right now I'm just hanging out, just working on my own hand-drawn edition of a starting grid to an old NASCAR race.
Yeah, I remember I was on the weekly podcast like way last year, and it was where they invited like 10 fans on. So
yeah,
I remember I am looking at the very thing I wore and made them all laugh. It's like a 30s era Soviet gas mask.
My goodness.
At least that's what it looks like. All right. Let's go ahead and go into the NASCAR news portion. Of course, we all know the big news. Let's go ahead and start with early this week. The word finally came out that Suarez is officially going to be in the 41. Worst kept secret of the entire year, next to Truex going to the 19.
Yeah, that was kind of something that like everyone kind of predicted. So it didn't really surprise me that he actually wound up getting signed.
Yeah, for me, I was, of course, I hate Truex. So I'm horribly biased, but I hope that Truex's actions last year would cost him that shot in the 19. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suarez on the 41 now. I expect much more consistency out of him. So
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say a win, but definitely more consistency.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like I feel like you could sort of almost compare his like consistency. Like it was kind of like a roller coaster, kind of almost like Mike Skinner back in the day during his tenure at RCR, like 99 to 2000. I feel like as far as is consistent, it'll be somewhere around there, but maybe even a little better with a win. But I'm not holding my breath on a win.
Yeah. Speaking of Skinner, I wonder if Skinner could be considered a bust. I doubt that, though.
Probably if you're talking about Cup. That would be a different story if you're talking trucks. I mean, he was the first champion in the trucks.
True. and he ended up getting 20-something overall wins. That's pretty good for okay, good. And now for the absolute big news of Sauter getting the can. I really don't know how to feel about it, really.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked about it myself. Like, personally, I feel like if he finds a ride before the truck race at Daytona, I feel like he might return to Thor Sport if they have the sponsorship for him. Because I think Ben Rhodes' ride is open since I think Rhodes isn't going to return for this season.
Yeah, I figured that, of course, I'm going to borrow a page from Eric Eastup's book. He said, it was a bit shady the way they did it, because if they knew that money was going to be a problem, why'd they wait this long to tell him?
Yeah, that's one thing that I really wondered too.
I mean, I heard that, a couple rides open. Of course, there's the 41 at Thorsport. They could remember it to not 98.
Yeah.
But just a couple rides open. Probably that Young's Motorsports 20 car or the 02 car and truck. Sorry.
Yeah.
He could go there and he could build that team up like he did with
BMS
and Thorsport.
Go to the 02.
See, Nick says, speaking of Mike Skinner, just learned that he got 11 poles and 5 wins in 2007, but lost the title in the final race to Hornaday.
Yeah.
11 poles, though.
Speaking of Hornaday, earlier I watched the Icebergs Missing Rings video on Hornaday's 2011 season.
Yeah.
I feel like he definitely could have won the title had Kyle Busch decided not to be an idiot and wreck him out just because of a slight contact.
Yeah, I posted, a comment there, down there. I said, this should have been the catalyst for cup leeches being banned entirely. And then there's this one guy who replied to me and said, but Xfinity and truck guys are completely fine with cup guys in there. I'm like, sure, yes. But when they deliberately mess with the championship like that, like Kyle Busch did, or what Cole Witt did at Homestead in 2016, that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
For me, I don't mind cup leeches racing in Xfinity and trucks. I don't really consider Kyle Busch a leech because he's in his own team, but that's beside the point. It's that when they're racing in races that actually matter towards the championship, such as the penultimate race at Texas, or the Homestead race, the last race, that's where the problem is. And I'm glad that NASCAR stepped in and set in those rules. Now that cup guys can't be in the playoffs at all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hornaday was 4th in points in 2014 when he was let go from the 30 truck because of sponsorship issues. I think that was after the Eldora race.
It was a dispute between Steve Turner and Harry Scott. That's what I thought the problem was.
And I think that was a catalyst. Sponsorship issues arose as well. I think he was released after the Eldora race. Nick can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was after the Eldora race he was released.
I thought it was before the race at Canadian Tire that year.
So let me see if I can pull it up on his Wikipedia. Hein Hornaday. I literally almost typed Hornaday. You gotta be kidding me. So my browser's homepage is filled with political ads. After the Bristol race. Huh. It's like, look, his 2014 truck stats, they actually looked pretty good. Like,
yeah, I like
good.
his Ream truck.
I mean, I'll appreciate it, but afterwards, Kyle Busch, he did make a mistake, but I'll appreciate afterwards. He did offer Hornaday a seat in one of his trucks full time, I believe.
That's ironic.
I mean, like he literally he felt so bad, or he was pressured to by either Gibbs or someone. He offered the ride to Hornaday, but he just ended up turning it down.
Hmm.
It was either because Hornaday was really too angry to work for Kyle Busch, or he
That whole
was.
thing about him turning him down, that seems like something that Jimmy Spencer would do, with him saying, and I quote, Jimmy Spencer never forgets.
Well, yeah, he did wreck Bubba Wallace at Rockingham like in 2013. So.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot that the trucks ran at Rockingham in the early 2010s.
Yeah, two
I think
races. I think Casey Kane won the 2012 one and Larson won the 2013 one. Afterwards, they said, "Oh, no seats were filled. Close it down."
Yep, that's what happened when Andy Hillenberg owned it.
I mean, seriously, who could expect a truck date, a stand-alone truck date, without a Cup or Xfinity race paired with it to fill seats?
Well, hopefully in the future, all three series will be back there, if not the Cup and the Xfinity.
You see something right here. 2014, Crafton. Okay, well, Crafton won that one. Let me see. Sauter. Let me try to find Sauter's page. Because I think that the Young's Motorsports 02 is open. And that's actually
it is open because Austin Hill's at Hattori now.
Yeah. I think because of that. And it's actually a pretty okay ride.
Yeah.
Austin Hill was able to get 11th in the points with a few top 10s. And even
Yeah,
the
he
top
did
5.
really good in some of them races last year. I was surprised he didn't get a win. I think it was at Texas where he did best. The fall race, that is.
Yeah, let's see. Hornaday was 56 in 2014. If he won that championship, oh boy.
Yeah, I think he would, if he had won that championship, he would have been the oldest champion in NASCAR history.
And I think the oldest Cup champion was Bobby Allison at 45. Oldest Xfinity championship, I don't know exactly who it was. I'm going to take a guess and say Randy LaJoie. Yeah, I think Randy LaJoie may have been the oldest. Or it could have been Nemechek. I don't know. Oldest truck champion, I believe, was Hornaday still. So
yeah, I believe it about Hornaday. He won it in 09. Because he was like around 49 years old or something, or around that range.
Let's go for a bit of a controversial topic here.
Oh, dear.
And by controversial, I mean controversial to the fans. Kyle Busch is going to hit 200 this year. Where will it be?
Oh, boy. I feel like it'll probably be like Xfinity Series, possibly, before he pulls a Kevin Harvick and just like retires from the Xfinity Series like he said he would when he hits 100 wins in the Xfinity Series. I think it is that he said he was going to retire.
Right here, he can't hit 100, and I can't talk. He actually is unable to hit 100 this year because even if he wins all 7 of his races he enters, he's still one short. So I think he'll get 100 Xfinity wins next year.
Probably.
And then afterwards, I don't know if he'll just straight up step away immediately or fill out the rest of his starts to honor his contract. But
yeah, I don't know about that. So it's like one of those things, like it's kind of like you're trying to gamble, kind of like a perfect fuel strategy. Or like when you're running at a super speedway and you're praying to God that you won't get taken out in the big one because someone just like decides to go, oh, I'm going to do a different turn than everyone else. Kind of like Kevin LePage back in 2008, where he just like completely killed the field.
Oh, they should have seen me. Their spotters should have known I was going to merge up, so come on.
I'm still surprised I haven't seen any like memes about that being like the original Battle Royale yet.
Carnation, do your thing.
Yeah, Carnation, really, dude. You gotta cut up. You gotta stop
you gotta
slacking, my boy.
You got to tackle Kevin LePage. Jack
I gave him a
Ingram.
good idea in a comment on one of his tweets the other day where he was like asking for ideas. And my idea was every time a car gets airborne in the grass where all four wheels are off the ground, he should have a bass boosted edition of the theme from the Dukes of Hazzard playing.
Let's see. Jack Ingram is the oldest Xfinity champion. He was 48 when he won it in 1985. Wow, he's old.
Yeah. Who can forget one of the legends of the Xfinity series? Same with Sam Ard. He was another legend.
His career was cut really short, actually. Literally, he won the Xfinity Championship in 1983. He clinched it with one to go. He attempted the Cup race at Rockingham, then got injured and had to retire, but he still won the championship in the Busch Series at the time.
Talk about going full-blown legend mode. That's like the most legend thing to do, is just like clinch a championship, one race early, and then just like wind up retiring.
By the way, hey, Jimmy. And speaking of Jimmy Johnson's new ally scheme.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not as awful as last year, that quote-unquote leak from Lionel Racing that I saw yesterday.
Oh, man.
Those were like the biggest blunders. Like, I hope that had he ran that one that was a quote-unquote leak, I feel like that would have been a one-hit blunder like the Lowe's car last year.
Yeah, I looked at it. It looks okay. I'll definitely need some time for it to grow on me. Like the Lowe's for Pro scheme, it grew on me over the year. But yeah, I'll definitely need a lot of time to. I'll definitely need a lot of time to let that scheme grow on me. Jimmy says he likes it, but the only problem is the hood.
Yeah.
Let me get a look at the hood again. I know they layered the ally scheme over to mimic stripes, I believe.
Well, what I think about the hood is it kind of almost seems like when you have an error on like your old computer, like back in the day, and you're just like moving the thing around and it just like goes all over the screen. Kind of seems like that. With how Ally is layered over and over and over again on that hood of that car. Just man, oh man.
I mean, like,
put it.
It just looks like it's too much to me.
It looks like they just tried too hard to make it even look remotely okay.
I mean, there are many fan designs that are leagues above this, but I kind of understand why I think they steered clear of them, because then there'll be people claiming that I made that scheme. You should give me credit. It's just, I mean, that's the way I think of it.
That created that leaf filter car for Blake Cook a couple of years ago, and then it got ditched last year, and they were just all salty about it and said that the 11 car should have gone into the catch fence.
Oh. Wait a minute, the 11 car had a fan design?
Huh. Yeah, I'm talking about I think it was by someone named like Gmail 1996 or something like that. They created that paint scheme, and when they found out that it wasn't going to be used anymore, they were super salty.
I guarantee there was some salt.
Yep.
As usual with the Hendrick scheme renders, there's no monster logos at all. So.
Yeah, but I feel like that's mainly because they still have that deal with Amp Energy, so that's why they don't have it on there. Plus, they are sponsored by Mountain Dew, which is Pepsi, and Monster's like owned by Coca-Cola or something like that.
I will give credit where it's due, though, by the way. Jimmy literally hid the car in like 3 of his Instagram pictures. It was just like either it was just pretty funny actually, just seeing how well hidden they were actually, except for the one where the burnout happened because you could easily spot something there.
Hmm.
Now, look to the chat. Nick, Jimmy, voice crack. You got any questions or anything, or thoughts about anything? On the subject of that, what would you expect out of Sauter if he goes to Young Motorsports or Thorsport?
I feel like Sauter would definitely help that team, like, in many ways. How do you feel about Spencer Boyd going to Young's Motorsports to drive the 20?
I think he'll do pretty good. Seen him either a few Xfinity races. He keeps his equipment pretty good. I expect some good top 20s out of him.
I feel like this could potentially mean that in the future he might get a deal with RCR because Young's Motorsports is associated with Dillon Management. So that's something that's gotten into my head the past couple of days since I found out that he was going there.
Okay, Nick says thoughts on how good Moffitt will do at GMS this season.
I feel like he will do well as long as nothing bad happens, where he just winds up like getting wrecked out every race, and then winds up getting chucked aside, like how Dalton Sargent was doing. He was consistent before he was given the boot. I think Moffitt will definitely do well there.
I'm pulling up his chart page on Wikipedia here. Well, there are pretty good results. I just sensed some inconsistency with it because he never had a pure top 10. By a pure top 10, it's 6th or 10th. And then, of course, there are times where it wasn't his fault at all, like at Vegas where he kind of ran out of gas.
Yeah.
I feel like the stress of not really having to worry about sponsorship, I think it will help him be more consistent. Will he win as much? I doubt it.
Like, I feel like we'll just have to wait until like the season is officially underway. In order to find out.
Okay. Now let me see. I expect some good results out of him. Now about Austin Hill. Looking at his results, his best finish was 5th at Texas. He's been relatively good, I would say, because he finished all but 3 of the races. My chair's squeaky so much. Fixed it.
I'm just chilling out on my bed right now.
What am I expected of Hill next season? I'm not going to say a win, but definitely more top 10s.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there on that. Like, I don't see him possibly getting a win unless it just like winds up being almost like a fluke almost. But you never know.
Yeah. And we need to address the big one. I forgot about the big one. Chip Ganassi Racing shutting down that 42.
All I gotta say is I feel absolutely bad for Ross Chastain. That because of the whole fiasco with DC Solar and them, like apparently it was tax evasion was the reason why that raid took place.
Yeah, I'm like, there are people blaming NASCAR. NASCAR is not all to blame. It shares some blame, but I'll explain that in a moment. The blame goes to DC Solar for this because they didn't pay their damn taxes. It's their own fault.
Yeah, exactly.
The blame on NASCAR is for the business model that is so dependent on sponsorship that it is everything.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, The almighty dollar speaks a lot, and it should, but it should not be the top priority.
Yeah, like I find it absolutely ridiculous that the whole idea of the sport has changed from how it used to be. Like the sport started because of guys modifying their cars so they could outrun the law while running their moonshine. And it's just like gone blown out of proportions. Like we don't see many drivers that are like grassroots style drivers anymore that like start from like almost nothing and start to work their way up towards the top. Like we need more drivers like Jordan Anderson, for example. He's one of those types of drivers. Like he's kind of like the Alan Kulwicki of this era. He just has yet to get a win in the trucks.
Yeah, let's see. Nick's asked who will do better, Gus Dean or Spencer Boyd. Maybe I'm gonna say Spencer Boyd on the basis of consistency.
Yeah, I would probably agree. Like, I don't even think that Gustine has any like experience in the trucks yet, but he could be consistent. All he has to do is just drive well, avoid getting any wrecked out in any of the races, and just like be very consistent.
Yeah. For okay, I can't talk right now. Let me see.
What was that?
Nothing right now. I'm just thinking about what I'm trying to say because I was going to say something before I looked at Nick's question.
Yeah, sometimes I also struggle with trying to figure out what I want to say. Like, it'll just wind up being like one of those things that one of my family members calls a Shaneism. Kind of like how there's this guy at Nesson called Dennis Eckersley who does these things called Eckisms. It's a New England thing, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, now I remember what I was going to say.
What?
NASCAR is straight away from the grassroots style. The veterans who worked their way up through dirt or small scale asphalt racing, like Johnson Harvick and a few others. And they're the last of an essential species, and they're being replaced by essentially spoiled rich kids like Noah Gregson,
Yeah.
Austin Cindric, Michael Annett. Well, Michael Annett's
Don't
not really.
even get me started on Cindric. That's gonna get me all fired up.
Let's avoid Cindric then. And yeah, I was looking forward to see what Chastain could do this year. The downside I would see is if they Truex his story, because if they Truex his story, people are going to hate him.
Yeah.
And so maybe hate Truex constantly spouting adversity, even though he's been in the top ride for at least 5 years now. 4 years, but it's just, I don't know. Dare I say unacceptable? The state of the sport, it's continuing to deteriorate, but NASCAR's trying to figure out a way to do it. They've hired an accounting company to actually track the finances of teams, try to find a way to lower costs. Yeah, there should be some good options, I guess, to pursue to lower costs. For myself, I'm planning within the next. I had probably going to be best to wait for the end of January in case more silly season news comes out to make my predictions video.
This has just been one of the most craziest, silly seasons there has been in all of my years of living on this earth and being a NASCAR fan.
I mean, literally, like, just so much happened. Sadler retired. Gregson replacing him. Cindric gets the 22 full time. Briscoe gets a full time ride. Bell stays in Xfinity. Chastain gets a full time ride and gets screwed out of it. Brett Moffitt gets screwed out of his championship ride, then takes another champion's ride. Kurt Busch doesn't get to keep his ride. Suarez gets forced out after only 2 years. Truex' team shuts down. That's probably the tip of the iceberg, really. There's probably a whole lot more. But
yeah, it's just like a huge mess. It's just like Talladega in 2002 after the pileup in the Aaron's 499, where it's just like a junkyard. It's just like a huge mess.
Yeah. I'm going to make a bold prediction. KBM last year was kind of bad.
Yeah, they were absolutely bad.
3 wins, and 2 came from the boss man himself, and 1 from Silver Spoon Greggy. That's not good.
Yeah, that is definitely not good at all.
I predict they'll still get only 3 wins this year, and all 3 will come from the boss man. I just don't think Burton or Gilliland will break through the win.
I feel like the main thing that has to happen for them in order for them to get a win is Todd Gilliland needs to try his best to be even better than he was this past season. I mean, yeah, he's gotten close to winning, but it's always wound up most of the time when he's come close to winning, he winds up being like Mark Martin and always being the bridesmaid, but never the bride.
Yeah, the 2 wins that were literally taken from him. Canadian Tire in Texas. Yeah. Gregson decided, hey, I could go for the win. Fuck my young teammate. Go for it. Then he wrecked them both and gave the win to Haley. I just realized that the 2 road courses where the 3rd place driver was gifted the win. Canadian Tire and the Roval.
Oh dear, the Roval. The biggest meme fest of the past season, other than one Carnation hitting 1K and doing that broadcast thing where he had people singing, but all you can hear is Larson fans screaming Africa. And Asteroid Strike just saying purified water every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest memes that I was proud to say that I was a part of.
Yeah. The controller disconnected. And Jimmy Johnson's choke. I think Larson flipped someone off.
Oh, don't forget, the Big Boy weekly podcast returns on the 30th, from what I heard.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on Darian's channel, so be sure to tune into them.
Oh, I'll be sure to. I'm going to try even harder this year to get onto that darn thing. I was so close. I was like Mark Martin at the Daytona 500 in 07 trying to get in that final podcast. I was like, missed it by about an inch or so. I was like, I think I got it, and I was like, gah!
Yeah, what I'm going to try to do is, 30th, that's when they're going to do it. I'm going to try to do my own podcasts the Friday after theirs.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want any conflict at all between our podcasts. That's why I'll try to give a day buffer zone, or at least an hour buffer zone. So no bad blood or drama happens.
Yeah. My main goal for this year is to try to be more consistent with making videos, because I've only made 2 and they're literally the same thing. The second one is just a higher quality edition of the first one.
Yeah, overall, my I'm satisfied with the way I ran my 2018. So really, I could say that 2018 was a success, even though there are still videos that have not even gotten one view on my channel. But
Yeah, like I've only gotten a handful of views on both of those videos, and I've only like a couple subscribers below 20. Like I'm so close to grasping 20 subscribers.
my favorite thing I've made on my channel, at least for this year, was my new PS4 intro video, and I just had to use "Running Down a Dream" for it. I don't know if it'll be bad
Oh
quality,
dear.
but I'm gonna try to just show it to the
Hmm.
camera.
I'm not gonna lie, but one of my favorite videos it did was the videos that were the Hunger Games. I thought those were funny, like how every time Nick's hand died, it would always be like falling out of a tree. That was like the most common thing for him.
Yeah, and literally every video I've uploaded to my PS4 now has gotten copyright claimed.
Oof. Just watch Carnage do an edit of that happening and just have it be like Piano Man being played, or My Heart Will Go On, but it's played on recorder.
The shitty flute. Thoughts on the 3-car test that happened at Fontana? It's pretty good. I have hopes for this package because it should help drivers get closer together.
Yeah, that was like the first picture that was the first time that I saw what the spoiler looks like on the cars, and I'm like, oh my god, those things are huge. Like I
Yeah,
remember seeing the picture of Suarez next to like the rear end of his car, and I was like, oh my god, those are huge spoilers.
just huge. Yeah, like I don't understand why people are so upset about this package. They call it gimmicky and such, but
Yeah.
literally NASCAR is they literally back themselves into the corner via the track contracts and the abysmal design of the cars that they're trying to fix.
Like I feel like it'll be crazy at Talladega later this year, like both the Talladega races and the July race at Daytona, because they're expected to be not using the restrictor plates for the first time since '87. So let's see how well this is and how many cars are gonna blow over or flip over non-stop.
They're expected to be using the tapered spacers still, but if anything,
Yeah,
they should only be slightly faster
yeah.
than if they were using restrictor plates.
The other day, I saw this thing on Twitter that someone had tweeted that Rusty Wallace once did like a secret test run at Talladega without the restrictor plate, and his car was over like 220 miles per hour or something like that. And his like regular lap time was like some like lap speed was like 216 miles per hour or something like that. So it would have like shattered Bill Elliott's qualifying record of 212 miles per hour back in '87.
Yep. I wonder if how if these cars are faster than the Gen 4 cars.
Yeah, that'd be something interesting to see.
I mean, literally, the catch fencing, they do their job. No cars went into the catch fence so badly for almost 3 years now. I'm not counting McMurray's wreck because it was practice wreck and it was on the backstretch.
Yeah,
And Rusty reached 228 miles per hour at the end of the straightaway in that test. Wow.
yeah. That was one of the most craziest things I had ever seen. I was like, holy cow.
I've seen a
Like that.
video on NR 2003. They removed the restrictor plates, and yeah, it was in the middle of a race. They were going upwards of 230 to 240 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way they could go that fast, knowing how Rusty's test went, but they'd just be going ridiculously fast.
Yeah, like I feel like it would be even worse if someone were to have lost control because there could have been if they didn't run the restrictor plates like they have in the past like 31 years, or I should say 32 years or so now, I feel like it'll be absolutely chaos. Like it would be fire and brimstone.
I mean, like the plates, their intention was to slow cars down so they wouldn't flip, but
Hmm.
they still flip, obviously. Richard Petty's 1992. No, not 92. 91. No. 1990 Daytona 500 wreck.
You mean 1988? Because it was 88 when Richard Petty flipped over, and I watched that race earlier.
Okay, then. Okay, 1988. 1988's his wreck. The year after, literally their first year of restrictor plates. Okay, thank you, Nick. Richard Petty, he still flipped over relatively easy, actually.
Yeah.
It's like the roof flaps have helped greatly, of course. I just, wonder with these huge packs. The big one, of course, it's energetic, it's exciting usually, but
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why most people probably watch the races at the super speedways is because they know the big one will most likely happen.
except for 2018.
Yeah, except for 2018. That was a disappointing year. Like especially the fall race where there was like no cautions. I had been wanting to see the pileup happen for like the few times that I got to actually watch the race. I was like, yeah, where's the Rex? It was like
For me,
snooze fest like the 2002 EA Sports 500 or the 2001 Talladega 500.
yeah, it's like for me, I would have been fine with the SHR domination if they actually
Yeah,
raced each other during that time.
yeah,
They literally borderline refused to race each other into the final 10 laps.
yeah, exactly. Like
Of
that
course,
was one of the most disappointing races I had seen in all of my years I've been watching NASCAR
that's
that
easy.
I can remember.
Yeah, it's easily the most disappointing race of the year because they market it as a huge wild card. Who will win this thing? Then four
It
cars.
got a big plot twist with it being Almirola winning it, which I was glad he had done that.
I was glad Almirola won it, but that just did not save the race for me. It was abysmal.
I thought it was kind of funny when Kurt Busch ran out of gas. And I was like, oh boy, let's see who will win this. And then, wapow!
I mean, the way that the NASCAR officiated the last laps of the races those 2 days, the truck race and the Cup race, it was all backwards, really, for me. The truck race, Gregson got turned over on the backstretch. They decided to call caution. There was absolutely no need for a caution. Then in the Cup race, people wreck about 300 or 400 feet past the finish line. No caution. They're sending a clear message that you should barrel down very fast and T-bone someone, essentially. I just still don't understand. Why did they call caution for that Talladega truck race? They ruined that race because of it. Sure, Timothy Peters still won, and Spoon Greggy got wrecked, but still.
Yeah.
And just the restrict play races in general just prove how much of a team dynamic there is, especially with manufacturers. But at the same time, that's really easy a detriment. The Fords, they'll work together no problem. But for some reason, Chevy and Toyota can't get it through their thick skulls that they need to work together. Or, Chevys with Chevys, Toyotas with Toyotas. So it just amazes me, literally. The Geico 500, the end of that, no one wanted to get to Joey Logano at all. It just seemed that way. I mean, Chase Elliott was trying to make moves, and Ricky Stenhouse decided to be a little dick and leave him out to dry. All right. Well, let me see. I think everything's doing good. I believe we went through this enough. We can go ahead and call a successful episode 3 of the podcast now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say your little outro, your channel, Twitter, everything. Be sure to link it in the description below, Rusty.
All right. So my name is Rusty's Racing Network. I'm one of the really, really low tier NASCAR YouTube channels. I've only got around almost 20 subscribers. My name is also Rusty's Racing Network on Twitter. You can find me on Discord in the core Discord server and a few other Discord servers. And be sure to stay tuned to my Twitter as I post more and more of the Spotter's Guide I'm doing for the Core League of Fantasy Paint Schemes. And remember,
All right. I am Irishman GFS, the Green Flag Studios. I am trying to build up my audience myself, just like Rusty here. My Twitter and everything is in the description below. So, yeah. All right. Again, name is Green Flag Studios. See you in the next video, guys. Signing off.